another edition of your famous game show. Are you ready for another? Future on YouTube? Yes, well, we're going to look at cases. It's up to you. It's up to you. To decide if each of these cases that they have no future at all. The verdict is yours. Now it's time to get on with the game. Charlie goes dancing with like to introduce our first witness. Let's hear about Emma Brand.
Emma Brand lived in Southend. Every morning she woke up in a state of terror because she was convinced she was going to be kidnapped. Every time she heard a noise or someone spoke in the street outside, she thought the kidnappers had arrived. To save herself from this inevitable fate, she threw herself out of an upstairs window and died.
Emma Brand of Southend. Honestly, what were you thinking? Well, maybe you think she did the right thing. Maybe you think she acted too soon. It's time for you to decide. You've got your voting cards. Let's see you get ready for as you decide, because it's time to vote. It's wait for it. It's future or no future. Let's see the card. Oh, future. Yes, she had a future. Emma Brand, you moved too quickly. Oh, what a tragedy. But well, never mind. So perhaps you would like to tell us about Frederick Trimmer.
The new man, struggling to reconcile masculinity,
defined by career, the breadwinner.
Defined by career, the breadwinner. Isolation, panic, withdrawal.
I contain multitudes.
I thought I had to die today.
Hello, 1914, happy days. New Year's Day, 1914, seems to have brought with it an argosy of cheerfulness and brightness, and heartfelt wishes were seldom exchanged with greater warmth. Gay, young, rollicking, 1914. A new year with a respectable manner to its tail should naturally bring with it an extra crop of good resolutions. It was healthy, bracing and bright, and altogether the future seemed much more full of possibilities than a week ago.
These stories, all of them drawn from real life, chronicle the 12 months leading up to the declaration of war in August 1914. Their despairing acts occupied a place in the daily newspapers that later would be devoted to sex scandals. Personal misery transformed into popular entertainment.
His wife refused to kiss him upon the lips because she said it was unhealthy and would spread insanitary germs. In reply, David Harnhord of Cornellsville, Philadelphia, shot himself in the head.
A chemist assistant from Budapest named Christopher Sulevics maintained 3 teenage lovers until the girls learned of each other's existence and challenged him. He told them that they would never see him again as he was going off to commit suicide. The girls took him at his word and poisoned themselves in their despair at losing him. All 3 of them died. He lived.
In an orchard near Tamworth, from the branch of a plum tree was found hanging the body of a labourer, Samuel Cooper, 44. The collar of his shirt cut away, on which he had written a note to his wife and a postscript, informing her that he had tried twice, only for the rope to break under his weight. The third attempt, he trusted, would be more successful.
A case this, perhaps, for Perrin Summer had he not died in New York, leaving memory of his prowess as the great identifier, so named because over many years, in many American towns, he claimed to have recognised the bodies of unknown suicide victims, each time assuring the police that the corpse was an Englishman named Edgar, who did not, in fact, exist, alive or dead.
The people in these dramas betray the frailty of existence, at a moment of history when the dreadful implications of that phrase were about to be demonstrated to an entire generation.
In Paris, Jeanne Bonville worked as a manicurist. On this day she made certain to polish her own nails and wash her hands after drinking a cup of coffee, then shot herself in a cafe on the Rue de Rivoli. Pinned to the front of her dress was a letter to her fiancé, who had just announced his determination to break off relations with her. A fashionable Parisian
commentator complained that the revolver was becoming so popular a means of ending a woman's life that the weapon should be redesigned to prevent their shining steel or silver plate, their ornamentation, their handle soft to the touch, from becoming so attractive to the female sex that it was almost impossible for these all too susceptible creatures to resist their fatal charms.
It seems to be that the secret of warding off this most mysterious and fashionable complaint, which robs our homes of merry fathers and bright-faced mothers, is to go slower. Our minds and bodies become overworked engines with insufficient lubricating laughter. How can we expect them to pulsate to the tune of good health?
My bicycle was stolen in November last, said Mrs. Phyllis Grote, a timid, slight woman in her early 20s. It was ultimately recovered after my husband recognised it in Shepherd's Bush.
Harold Grote fancied himself a sleuth. He read nothing but scientific works, but fired his imagination with cinematic tales of crime. He wrote to his father, Charles, Baron de Grote of Hanover.
Dear Daddy, been doing detective work lately. Traced Phil's Humber, lost last November, you remember, and restored it to its rightful owner with the help of a CID sergeant. It is very little the worse for wear. After that, I did some more Holmesing, and am now hard on the track of a gang that seems worth catching. To all appearances, they are well organised. Part of their business is cycle and probably motor stealing.
Merely his interpretation, according to his wife.
Having a handful of sneezing powder in my eyes, while in pursuit, in broad daylight, on a broad stretch and archway road. But don't be alarmed, trust me to be careful. All particulars later. Ever your most loving son, Harold.
A student of engineering at the University of London, Harold Grote gave himself leave to pursue the case. His wife of 2 years humoured his fancies. One Friday night, Grote returned from his investigations, placed his fingers on his lips as a warning that his wife should stay her tongue, and whispered that the gang was now on his trail. They were 400 strong, maybe 5. His life was in danger. He had attempted to reach Scotland Yard, but his footsteps had been tracked by accomplices and thieves. Now, he insisted, their very home was filled with the murderous band. Each time a step was heard above or below their rooms, he cried out,
"That is another! How many more?"
They were massing, he was certain, in the next apartment. So husband and wife stepped carefully out into the streets of London, Grote having loaded the pistol that his father had given him years earlier. By midnight, Mrs. Grote recalled, "We were at Charing Cross Station, but he would not inquire about a train because he said that the gang would know him, nor would he allow me to. He would not go home, and eventually, after some trouble, we managed to put up at an hotel." She watched her husband as he slept fitfully. Then, as she feared, he awoke with his convictions unimpaired. He scribbled a note to his father, which he intended to telegraph to Germany.
"Can you possibly come at once? My safety at stake. Wire arrival at Carlton Hotel."
But he could not approach the post office as he believed the streets were thick with conspirators. Staring wildly about him on the Strand as the band of thieves approached from all sides, disguised as shoppers and everyday travellers, Grote slapped his hand against his forehead and cried out,
"At last! I have a solution to the whole difficulty."
Evading his wife's grasp, he reached into a pocket, produced his pistol and fired a fatal shot into his brain. The young man, judged the coroner, had suddenly gone out of his mind. The Baron de Grote confirmed that in recent years his son had exhibited some queer traits of character. Suicide while suffering from a delusional insanity of persecution.
Mrs. Caroline Rigby of Lambeth lost the sight of one eye because of illness. She could not stop herself from imagining that the same thing was going to happen to her other eye. What would I do then? She asked the nurses, who tried to persuade her that it was not going to happen. To make sure, Mrs. Rigby jumped several floors to the ground from her hospital and died, one eye still intact.
Fed up with the army. All the fellas are down on me. This is the second time I've tried to do it. The only thing we have to fear is his trial was postponed until his health was recovered. During inside every fear, inside that sense of dread, I have no further heart for soldiering, he told the emptiness of before he was convicted and imprisoned, can burn the crime of failing, or possibly can have free reign.
17 other young men called
In that
Samuel
space we have a
Ward were
choice.
killed during the First
In
World
that
War.
emptiness we still have hope. The difficulty about suicide is that no one has been convicted of civilians, but there is another proof of violence. 1 million of these men crashed unknown, that figure paling alongside the casualties of France, Italy, and the empires of the Ottomans, the Austro-Hungarians, the Germans, and combustible hate who tells cautionary for the final time to face legal retribution, child or his grandchild or a distant friend, or it can be anyone who chooses to revisit a deep promise. As we remember that by a man from Mars, an opinion would be formed of a so-called civilization of good Europeans gradually collapsing in an effort to destroy itself. Each moment of this crisis means thousands of pounds lost, growing ruin, business stopping, the rich growing poor, the poor penniless. And as yet it is only a crisis.
To a score or so of friends who are unable to be with them, the couple composed simple letters of affectionate farewell, each closing, "This is the happiest festival of our lives. We are dying in love and peace." Joseph donned his silk cravat that evening, his wife her own gown of silk, each adorned with blue silk ribbons and collars for a stroke of gaiety. Having sealed the doors and windows and turned on the gas, they turned towards each other and waited for sleep to flow unbroken into death.
And you are you.
Gentle smiles upon their faces.
Whatever we were to
so
each
the first
other,
witnesses reported.
that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which we always used.
What is the pain for?
Together the fallen stones who should
Dare
have left
you
them from their house.
talk to
Consciously or
it?
otherwise, we all face that decision. It's part of our shared humanity.
It's the voice, not you, that's the problem. The voice always has more ammo because you never achieve it, whatever it is, the perfection.
A half-gallon can of liquid paraffin. She carried it home, locked and barricaded her bedroom door.
These
Blocked
endings,
the keyhole with material.
sometimes it feels as if they are inevitable, inescapable, encoded in the matrix of their lives. The stories begin,
Do you think
the
I'm
promise
okay?
flickers and dies,
Well, if I'm okay,
and there is only one exit from the stage.
Are you okay?
Every story,
Roared out
every
an
life has its
unbroken
choices,
scream
over
and stumbled
over
towards the
again.
bedroom window on the first floor,
A single choice,
coated in
rethought,
fire.
rejected,
Her
refashioned,
neighbour
can
across the
change
street,
a story.
alarmed by her
Standing
cries,
over the
saw her
tide.
crawl through the wooden
Open
frame
further
and fall
doors,
into the garden, still
which lead
burning,
on to the promise
till
of
the
another
shock of
future.
her agony caused her heart
For
to
nations
cease
as well as men,
beating.
for tragedies that sweep the surface of the world, as well as those that linger outside a single room and haunt us.
Depression is a liar. It tells you horrible
Each of
things
our
about
stories
yourself.
also carries
You
within
believe
it a
them.
reminder of the preciousness of our lives and the hint of an alternative ending.
Inside every fear,
Life means all
inside
it
that
ever
sense of
meant.
dread, is a space.
It is the same as it ever was.
The emptiness of unknown.
There is absolutely
where imagination
unbroken
can
continuity.
burn out hope, or possibly can have free reign. In that space, we have a choice.
All is well.
In that emptiness, we still have hope. In that fear, we can find promise if we choose to let it rise to the surface and realize that it has more power than fear.
Life is precious and so is choice. Sometimes the two concepts wage war for supremacy.
Are you thinking about killing yourself?
Sometimes life and choice combine. Just to a sense of continuation, anyone's just to a sense of continuation, anyone's of hope.
In life, there are constant influences that can alter our perspective and release us, if only for a moment, from the shadow of despair. Sometimes it is more bearable to confront the skull beneath the skin than the dawn of a new day.
Yet each of these stories also carries within it a reminder of the preciousness of our lives and the hint of an alternative ending. In Berlin, July 1914, thousands of demonstrators, patriotic to the last, surged through the streets towards the embassies of the nations with whom they feared they might soon be at war. Their most fervent expression of goodwill came in front of the British Embassy in Wilhelmstrasse, where they roared in unison, "Long live England! Long live England!" 3rd of August 1914. A bank holiday, a rare opportunity for Britain's workers to relish the England, 3rd of August 1914. As they journeyed to the beaches or relaxed in public houses, they could not escape the stark verdict of the Daily Mirror. "It is Armageddon! Germany has declared war on Russia. Britain is taking its holiday under a sense of appalling calamity and of impending destruction, which makes one shudder to contemplate." On 4th of August 1914, Great Britain declared war on Germany. Wars have a restraining effect on the development of suicide. In times of war, passive obedience is the highest duty. But there is another death, a final death, which no one can avoid, and that is the moment when someone's name is spoken for the last time, when the last memories of their life and spirit slip away, when there is no one left to remember them. Who tells their story for the final time? It might be a child or a grandchild or a distant friend, or it can be anyone who chooses to revisit them, to honour their struggle and redeem the promise. Sometimes it is more bearable to confront the skull beneath the friend. Yet each of these stories also carries within it a reminder of the preciousness of our lives and the hint of an alternative ending. We keep their final death at bay. The promise. Sometimes it is more bearable to confront the skull beneath the skin than the dawn of a new day. Yet each of these stories also carries within it a reminder of the preciousness of our lives and the hint of an alternative ending. The promise.
This period is one of the most critical epochs of a woman's life. Upon the manner in which she passes important abdominal
When the heart is not succeeded by the perspiration, it is familiarly termed dry flushing, which is much more disagreeable than the other form of the malady, since the surcharged blood vessels are not emptied of their contents by the exudation of serum.
Those which relate to the mind. The mental symptoms are quite as marked and prominent in most cases as are those which relate to any part of the system. Commit no nuisance. Do not linger. Who has recklessly ignored the demands of nature and the dictates of reasons in respect to the care of her health. Becomes irritable. A woman who has all her life been feeble, a sufferer of various sorts, will find this period a veritable Pandora's box of ills, and may well look forward to it with apprehension and foreboding. Small voice is loud. Let sense be done. Oh, still, small voice through the air. Repetition sparks trust. We tug us backward. Preference for the status quo.
Sometimes the congestion of the head becomes so intense as to make apoplexy imminent, and indeed, cases of paralysis have occurred at such a time in a few instances. Another unpleasant complication of these attacks is the intense mental excitement which often accompanies them, and which sometimes amount to actual delirium or mania. They are most apt to occur during sleep. Almost invariably they follow mental or nervous excitement. Other general symptoms occur with greater or less frequency and prominence, such as general debility, chlorosis, biliousness, headache, pain in the neck or bowels. Sick headaches, hemorrhoids or piles, constipation, bloating of the face, swelling of the hands or feet, frequent fainting,
A new mother, very uncertain of herself and her ability to cope. I decided to join a local photography class in Acton to get me out of the house. A new mother, very uncertain of herself and her ability to cope. Women of the world. I decided to join a local photography class in Acton to get me out of the house. I had to return. I handed over my young, precious baby to the what I perceived as women of the world, experienced mothers working in the crash. Said very loudly, presumably so everyone in the class could hear. An older lady in the class whose style was that of the Queen said very loudly, presumably so everyone in the class could hear. I don't know why you don't get a maternity nurse. My daughter has one, and it means she and her husband can go skiing whenever they want to. I felt crushed and numb. A young American woman came up to me in the darkroom later and beseeched. A young American woman came up to me in the darkroom later and I don't know why you let her say that to you. Why don't you say something? I don't know why you let her say that to you. Why don't you say something? Denise said to me, but surely if they're economic migrants, they shouldn't be allowed in. Denise said to me, but surely if they're economic migrants, they shouldn't be allowed in. Asylum, or the right to live in Britain. Refugees and their urgent quest to seek asylum, left hanging in the air, suspended eternally, I fear. The debate ended. Denise is not in the air, suspended eternally, I fear. Denise is not my friend now. Alison, an old friend from Plymouth High, met me in a rural gastropub. Alison, an old friend from Plymouth High, met me in a rural gastropub with the green Wiltshire Hills. We sat outside in the green garden, a quiet village pub with excellent food, my dear. A quiet village, but you would have to be in the know to know. That you would have to be in the know to know. And he suddenly launched into a sort of personal statement about why she suddenly launched into a sort of personal statement in another quiet rural village, thatched cottage, large garden and annex. In another quiet rural village, just about commutable to London if you left home at 6 a.m. and arrived home at 7 just about commutable to London if you left home at 6 a.m. No noise, no litter, no traffic, no black people. Can you understand, Rachel, why we choose no traffic? Can you understand why we choose to live like this? Can you understand why we don't want this to change? Subtext. Why we joined UKIP? Can you understand why we don't want this to change? Why we joined UKIP? Margaret. Oh yes, I used to love London until they started. Oh yes, I used to love London until they started change. On having surprised me by refuting its existence. Boiled it down to. Oh well, I won't be here when it takes effect. So who cares? This feels beyond me today. I am worn out. This feels beyond me today. My friend is seriously ill. I am worn out. I can't seem to get my friend is seriously ill and I can't seem to get my ideas across. I feel like I need to wind my neck in for my own sake as much as anyone else's. As much as anyone else's. I'm not sure I have the energy to pursue this. I'm not sure I have the energy to pursue this. This feels beyond me today. This feels beyond me today. I'm worn out. This feels beyond me today. I'm not sure I have the energy to pursue this. I'm worn out. I'm not sure I have the energy to pursue this. This feels beyond me today. This feels beyond me. I'm not sure I have the energy anymore. I'm not sure I have the energy to pursue this. To pursue this. Poor child. You thought you'd got it right, didn't you? Be a good girl, don't make a fuss, be clever, be the best. Poor child. My shoulders got it right, didn't you? Shoulder bag. Be a good girl, don't make a fuss. I fear death when my heart starts beating faster. I know who you are. You misinterpret my ego state. I'm not saying, pay me some attention, damn you. I'm saying, hello? My shoulders are too round to wear a shoulder bag. Remember we met once? My feet ache. Most people forget these days. I fear death when my heart starts beating faster. I know who you are. You misinterpret my ego state. I'm not saying, pay me some attention, damn you. I'm saying, hello? Have you seen me? Do you remember we met once? Most people forget these days. Hello? I thought I had. It's a liar. Today. It tells you horrible things about yourself and you believe them. Like a cork popping out of the bottle. I don't the whole torso heaving. The face turning purple, the final relief. The eye contact. I thought I had to die today. Like a cork popping out of the bottle. The whole torso heaving. The face turning purple, the final relief. The eye contact. The charm. Because you never achieve it. It's only a thought. Let sense be done. Oh, are you without that thought? Flesh return. I am all breathe through the earthquake. Wind and fire. And silence. Oh, still voice, small voice of calm. Because you never achieve it. Oh, still, that voice, small voice of calm. Let sense be done. Oh, still, return. Small voice breathe through the earthquake, wind and fire. It is painful. My chest felt like it would burst. Small voice of calm. Don't make a fuss. Be clever. Still the best. Small voice of calm. Small voice of calm. Feelings are never true. Oh, still venerous. Small voice of calm. The sea let me in again today. We are gorged. But this time she was kind. It is killing us. She broke herself on me. She knocked me down, but she didn't spit me out. Oh, still, smooth voice of calm. She let me ride through the waves and get to the smoother side. The sea let me in again today. Over them before they but this time she was kinder. She broke herself on me, so she knocked me down, but she didn't spit me out. She let me ride through the waves and get to the smoother side. That poor woman spilling her guts after all these years. Doesn't one remember such a thing vividly? She's okay with me, but the message is clear, smell, feeling. Hasn't she thought about it every day since? That poor woman spilling her guts after all these years. Doesn't one remember such a thing vividly to the grave? Every detail, smell, feeling. No adult saw the way hasn't she thought about it every day since? No one listened when I finally came out, gasping in distress. No one believed me. No adult saw the wave catch me, then drag me under. No one listened when I finally came out, gasping in distress. No one believed me. I know she wanted to, and did, but it always felt that they were more important. So when she told me this was the case, when I was in my 30s, I wasn't hurt. It wasn't a surprise. I know she wanted to, and did, but it always felt that they were more important. So when she told me this was the case, when I was in my 30s, I wasn't hurt. It wasn't a surprise. I already knew. Oh, still, will you let me cradle you from of calm? Oh, still, small voice of calm. Still.
interrupted?
Not at all. To wash your hands.
I'll be part of it.
Have a look on here.
I like 3. I like, yeah. 3, 9 and 27. 32 is a beautiful number. Up to you. Wash your hands. That's really interesting. I am changing the water as regularly as I can. And we've got, we're going to experiment. So we've got Jericho's water down here. Sure. And Charlotte, who'll be doing clay here. Okay. And so some people just do whatever you want to do, really.
And I'll just take a towel, yeah?
Whatever you would like to do. Got lots of towels. Before we disappear on me, can I just ask you something? Any thoughts? your presentation? How did it go? Oh, were you the one who's... Oh, you...
That was really, you practiced under fire. I mean, that was really...
Today's not my day. Did you show the camera your hands? It's very dark.
Welcome back to Paris Chat, and that was of course the new single by boy band Pan Raisin called I Will Fight For You. Oh no wait, I Will Surrender. Bonjour, my name is Sandrine, and this week I'm joined by celebrated artist Renaud Beyer, whose paintings are not visible to the human eye. His last piece was an invisible replica of the 1980s, and his latest work, This Is Art Because I Say So, is currently hanging inside his mind. Renaud, by making art that is not visible to the human eye, what is it that you are trying to say?
Well, it is partly to deconstruct the notion that art must be something that exists, but I suppose it is mainly to show the art world that I am French, so I'm really great.
At the time my parents they ran a hotel, and I wanted to go to art college and do textiles and things like that. And they said, oh, no, you can't make a career out of that. As I went through my GCEs, I was short of one to get to the course. And of course, my parents persuaded me to go and do hotel and catering management.
I used to do art at school and I really quite enjoyed it. But I did stop at 16 because I started an apprenticeship in electronic engineering. And that actually meant a total switch to the other side of my brain.
Oh, hello. Hello. From the minute I could hold a pencil, that's all I did was draw. Because I wasn't clever. I was bright, not clever. And I think that I just seemed to have an ability or a knack for drawing. So it was never an option. They used to have Saturday morning art school. Do they do that now? I don't know.
I mean, I'm not sure about this painting really, but I thought it was fun to try. But have decided, then I got hooked on abstract expressionism, so I'm doing that.
I love the colours in it.
Do you? Good.
And you've got a lovely feeling of light.
Hello, Rachel. How are you?
At school, I had a wonderful teacher at primary school, actually, who must have been either still an art student or just out of art student. It was in the 60s, and she was what we would have called a beatnik, and she did actually wear the first sort of Beatles merchandise, which actually had real Beatles on them. They were tights with real Beatles.
Wow.
I love the fact you put yourself in, Joan. That's brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Love it.
Obviously, it's Salvador Dali, and he painted himself painting his wife in a mirror all the time, things like that. He was really, well, you know how weird he was. And as I say, I used to sit opposite my boss, who used to go off on a tangent. I want this, and he'd be describing it. And I think it's a knack. I can read what people want and I can get it down. And so often they go, that's what I want. That's exactly what I want. But it teaches you all of that knowledge that you're accruing at the time. It all goes in.
I hadn't done any art since I was 16 at school, like a lot of people. And then I sort of got into IT and accountancy, and blow me down, it's 2012. I'm 51. I'm recovering from breast cancer, serious breast cancer.
And we sat so peaceful and pleasant, and we always used to go back there. And so I did a pastel of that and quite enjoyed pastel. Oh, I like this. So once a year, out would come the pastels, and I would do a picture. And that's how I got into art. She said, oh, join art. I said, no, I'm not good enough. She said, oh, yes, you are. And I said, no, I'm not. Well, she persuaded me. I've got another year before I pass the ATO, and I'm not ready. I think that was one of the things I thought the other day. You don't have to prove yourself. With having my daughter and that sort of thing, I sort of got away. I used to draw, but I'll tell you now, the true story is my daughter was 7 years old, and she came to me and she said, Mum, I didn't know you could draw. Now, that's sad, isn't it?
We're a friendly group. There's no sense of competition.
When I had kids of my own, I found myself terribly jealous of the fact that they were doing so much art, because I was allowing them to do so much art. And I used to join in. And then I thought, no, I've got to get back.
For pleasure. It doesn't matter if I don't produce anything. I think I tell myself I can improve.
Because I did notice that with Lichtenstein, his paintings were called funny things, like "Who are you?" or something like that. The one I did read, because I think at one point somebody, whether it was an art critic, I don't know, described him as the worst painter ever or something. But for the worst painter ever in 2017, the one called Masterpiece sold for $165 million.
But I am becoming keener to do my own thing now. And I think that's sort of, I can see other people in the group kind of having that kind of conflict as well.
Pleasure. Pleasure. The opportunity to lose yourself in something and forget all the niggling problems that are sitting in the background. Life's full of fun if you look at it.
If I think of walking along the beach, I can think of the seaweed, and I like that smell, and it changes the smell of the seaweed actually a lot of the time. There is something about wanting to put that in painting. And so if I were living on my own, if I wasn't with my husband and I didn't have to do anything, I'd be obsessed. After our workshops, I can carry on painting into the night if no one interrupts me. I just lose a sense once I'm there. I love it so much. Kind of a great area to practice and work in, because you'll never get there.
Sometimes I sit in the kitchen. I've got a nice breakfast table with stools and a telly. I put on old talking pictures, black and white films, and I've got my table and it's all covered up, and I sit there and I paint my puffins. Just liberating. Art has changed my life, saved my life.
I've got Marilyn in, and I got Elvis.
I like the freedom it gives us. I like it speaks to me. It's a nice, friendly group. I love it.
Silently, slowly, softly past my window. Festive or carnival, like she could be. I love you. When my father was dying, I love you. I saw a girl under a railway bridge. I love you. Golden hair. An angel, maybe. And then immediately I saw a beagle, like our old family dog, or a hound. And I smiled. I love you. I love you. Slow your breath and smooth your brow. Shine, my darling. You. Dazzle brightly. I love you. I am in all of you. Phosphorescent. Dancing dreamers. Scold the teapot. Bang your drum. Slow your breath and fix your gaze. Dancing dreamers, gauzy gaze. Shine, my to embrace something. It's okay to welcome it with open arms. Your eyes like my way completely. Up you might embrace your sweetheart and high and low and round and sound. Embraces from the French word embrasser, which started out meaning scold the teapot, bang the drum, but now includes kissing. You're so much better
Embrace.
than you know.
To clasp in the arms with affection, to take in the arms, to hug,
still your breath,
to cling to cherish, to love,
find the middle,
to seize eagerly or with alacrity, to accept with cordiality, to welcome.
Shine, my darling. It's okay.
E-M-B-R-I-C-E.
It's okay to shine.
Embrace.
Gaze in awe. I gaze in awe at you. I love you. I love dancing dreamers, gauzy gaze. I love you. Your eyes light my way. I love you. Up and down and high and low and round. Still your breath. The water flows. I love you. Fix your gaze. The middle distance. The middle distance. Gaze in awe. I love you. I love you. I love string on your head upward. I love you. Gaze in awe. I love you. Om. I love you. I love you. Rotundama. I love you. I love you. I love you. Om. I love you. I love you. Ritundama. Abundance. I love you. I am blissful happiness. I love you. I love exquisite well-being. Unconditional love. Ananda. Complete heart. I love Amanda.
Sunshine, you make me happy when skies are grey.
Existence, consciousness, bliss.
So please don't take my sunshine away.
I see the other in myself and myself in others.
Sunshine, my only sunshine, you make me happy when skies are grey.
You're so much better
You'll
than
never know, dear, how much I love you. So please don't take my sunshine away. No, please don't take my sunshine away. No, please don't take my sunshine away.